Hi, today I want to share my real English learning journey. There was a time when I was scared to speak English. Even one sentence, I was scared, super scared. I was making a lot of mistakes. I when I started to make sentence, I scared in my mind. I made grammar mistakes a lot. I was translating in my head even single words. To be honest, I had very low confidence in my past life, but step by step, I improved my confidence. In this video, I will share my struggles, my mistakes, and how I improved my confidence, how I learned and improved my pronunciation, my fluency, and how I become a confident speaker. So, if you feel stuck in English right now, this video is for you. Why I wanted to learn English when I was younger, that moment my English was very bad, but I also want to become a good speaker because of many reasons. And I was thinking how to improve it because that was very important. Actually, I understood English, but at that moment I understood a little English, you know. So speaking was very difficult for me that moment. How to speak if I understand a little a bit. So how can I speak English? So that was the biggest problem for me. But I was thinking and trying to improve myself every day. I was trying. I was learning small, and making sentence and trying to make a lot of sentences and learn how to learn vocabulary, how to improve vocabulary. So that was also a big problem, how to memorize for a long time. Actually, I wanted to speak English confidently, but there was many problems. I was thinking how to speak confidently because in my head happens a lot of things like when I started to speak, think, then I was thinking if I speak, then maybe if someone listen to me, they can laugh, they can judge me, and also felt scared from inside. So I was making mistakes even when I started to make sentence in my head. I was making mistakes, but also think uh, about English is most important for studies, for career, for communication, and if I have a good skills, good speaking skills, then I can feel confidence. Even though I was thinking if I have a good skills, speaking skills, then I can get a lot of opportunities. So that's why in my head and from inside I was always think about one day I will speak with confidence. With this commitment I was keep trying, and one day I'm here and I'm making videos for you and for everyone. But at that time I was afraid of making mistakes. If I make mistakes, then too big problem. I was afraid about people laughing. I was afraid about wrong pronunciation. So that was very big problem for me, wrong pronunciation, about grammar. Even I was learning since childhood, but my grammar wasn't enough to speak English confidently. Maybe you feel the same right now. I also realize many people are feeling the same problem. They are facing same pronunciation issues, grammar issues, speaking issues, confidence issues. So like that, many issues people and English learners are facing. I always stay silent because I was thinking my English is bad, because my grammar is bad, my pronunciation is not enough to speak English, and I was making a lot of mistakes in my pronunciation, and low confidence. So I was always stay silent. I don't speak too much in front of anyone, even though with my classmates. Even if I travel somewhere, then I was stay silent. I wasn't speak English with anyone. Maybe that was my attitude. That was my just nature. I'm not sure about 100%, but yeah, maybe. So that is my biggest problems in my learning. I always waited for my perfect English. When I become a perfect in grammar, in pronunciation, in making sentence, then I can speak English confidently. I was thinking a lot about it, but I don't know. One day will come and I can speak English naturally. So that was the biggest problem in my life, about the confidence. That was my biggest mistake. I realized that if I improved my confidence quick, then everything would be smoother. So I don't know, when I started to speak English, what was the time? Actual, what was the real time? But I started. I think it's already improved. It was continuously improving. So I'm not sure 100% when I started to speak English fluently. So I will say here to everyone. So if you are learning, and then just continue practice. Don't think about mistakes, about problems, about confidence. Just keep practice, keep learning. Don't think much. Just continue practice. My biggest problem is fear. I always scared. I always stay silent because I was thinking in my head, my English is bad. So I was waited for perfect English, perfect grammar, perfect sentence, something like that. So that was my just imagination, and I was thinking about perfection. So that was the biggest mistake in my English learning journey. So I would suggest to every English learners, if they want to speak English fluently, if you remove your fear, your confidence will back, and you can improve your confidence quick. If you have enough confidence, then you can speak. If you speak, then you will make mistakes. If you make mistakes, that means you can fix. So first, you have to remove your fear. That is the main point in learning English. And I didn't recognize my mistake at that time. So I'm suggesting to every English learners, they should have to stop fearing in speaking English. If they are beginner, if they are intermediate level, but they just try to keep practicing on without fear. When I was learning, I was translating a lot. Even though single sentence I was translating, I was thinking, what is the word? What is the meaning? And I was looking the dictionary that time, Oxford dictionary I had in myself. So I was always looking every even when I look at look at the one single word, then I was looking the more. Then I was stuck in words. Even though I learned a lot of words, but there was not useful for you always speaking English in your daily life English. So if you want to speak English fluently, you don't need to learn a lot of words. Your words will come automatically when you see any object, when you see any activities, automatically your words will come. Problem 2, translating everything. I was translating many things. Even I am a Hindi speaker and I was translating in my head Hindi to English. Always translate. Even when I was looking at any object, anything, then uh, just like this is we called in gilas in Hindi, but the English word is glass. So I was learning, I was thinking in my head when I was learning. So a lot of things like that I was always absorbing. I was thinking, what is the actual learning? What is the actual memorizing the process? So always first I was translating in my head, and when I don't know the words of meaning, then I was opening Oxford dictionary and other sources, because that time was unavailable internet and like that's gadgets tools what we are using nowadays. But that was very slow learning, but actually that was the useful for me. But nowadays everyone in 2026 we can learn, we can get very easily. There was a problem about resources. Just in a one English grammar book and school textbooks I was learning English. But nowadays I'm wondering a lot of English learning sources. So you can learn English from different platforms very easily. So I'm also thinking, why people, why English learners, why students, why working persons, why they are still stuck in English. If I can learn English by that way, when I was struggling, no many books, but nowadays a lot of sources, so why they are still stuck? They can learn, they can speak English fluently very easily. So I'm wondering why they can't speak English fluently. Hence a lot of useful and easily accessible, but they still can't speak English. Why? So I think problem is just not about translating, fearing. Problem is another also. So if you are translating in your head, keep translating with from your native language to English. So that's not a good idea to improve your speaking English, because that process is taking a lot of time. So if you are learning English, you should stop. You should stop translating in your head. You can think directly, and if you think directly, your speaking skills will improve faster than translation. Problem 3, studying too much grammar. So I spend too much time studying grammar, studying rules, learning rules instead of speaking. So I realized that I should practice instead of learning too much grammar, learning too much rules. So I realized later I knew grammar, but I couldn't speak fluently or naturally. So that was the big mistakes in my learning English. So I will suggest to everybody, they can, everyone who is in that way in learning English. I still couldn't speak naturally. So I was struggling a lot because I knew grammar, but why I still can't speak English fluently. So I was thinking, I was trying learning newspaper, always underline, always note. Not easy to share in this video because the process is too long. So I will try to make a brief and how to improve, because I learned a lot of newspapers. I read the Hindu newspaper, the Indian Express newspaper, but I think somehow, somewhere, those notes working because I was practicing. So definitely, those my process, my base, helpful for in my real, actual, and natural in English. So I also started to practice and learn, but fairness, my translation in head, it was also a big issue. Problem 4, lack of consistency. Some days I practice a lot and then I stopped myself, and many days I didn't learn, something like that. I did many things like that. I have to remember. So what kind of making mistakes I did in my past learning that slowed my progress. So like that, I realized many things in my learning, how I took a lot of time to speak English fluently. So what changed my English? Daily practice changed my English. And when I realized my mistakes, my all problems, why and why still can't speak English, then I started to practice daily, continue. When I was going outside, when I talk with anyone, when I think in English, when I have to think anything, then I started to think in English. And when I have to write anything, I stopped writing Hindi language. I started to continue in English. So like that, I started to practice in my daily life. I until now, every day I was practicing English. Every day I was writing. Every day I was learning. So this way, practicing with writing, with speaking, with thinking, I improved my speaking English. And then one more thing, I was listening. Why I can't speak English? Somehow, some of my friends, they were speaking in English, and I was just like this, thinking and listening to them. I was thinking I'm not enough confident to speak English like that. So I was thinking how to improve myself and how to speak English confidently. So slowly I make up my mind, and I started to feel inside naturally and how to speak. If I have something inside me, then I recognize them and started. Best part of learning is because this is my favorite part of learning. When I started to learn English, and when I realized recognized my problems, my mistakes. After that, I always think in English. I always thought. So thinking in English is most important if you are learning English. So because this way you practice every day simple words, simple sentence every day, but you don't think about that. If you are learning English and you want to become confident, then you have to think in English. You should think in English, because this process, this strategy, this learning thinking skills is very good and important when you speak in front of anyone. So this process helped me a lot. This process changed myself. So I would suggest you, please think in English if you are learning English. Speaking without fear, this is most important. If you accept your this mistake, definitely you will speak English fluently. But most learners, they don't accept it. They don't think like, I feel fear. Actually they feel fear, but they don't accept. This is the most important. This kind of acceptance is most important for English learners. So if you are learning English and you want to become a fluent speaker, then stop fearing. When I was studying, even though I was studying in Hindi language, then I was also thinking in English. Maybe you can't realize, you can't imagine, but I was doing the same. I was reading history, story, and I was thinking in English. So this process was not difficult, but I did. So like that, if you are learning, if you are seeing anything, if you are in process learning anything, then you can think. Thinking is really amazing process. When you think, you will get a lot of objects, a lot of activities, a lot of learning tools. In my English learning journey, I realized that you don't need perfect grammar. This is the important. You don't need perfection in the beginning. You just need practice. I want to share with you lesson 1 here about you don't need perfect grammar. You don't need to become a perfectionist, because you are learning, so you don't need perfection. You just speak and practice. Number 2, you don't need confidence. You don't wait for confidence. Confidence will come, just confidence will grow when you speak, when you practice. So this is the most important. When you speak, confidence automatically will come when you speak from your mouth. Thinking is most important. When you see anything, just think in English. If you are wanted to react, if you want to answer, then think in English. This is most important. Listening. Listening is most important. If you are talking with anyone, listen carefully. This is extremely important. Daily motivation is important. If you keep thinking in English, definitely you will be motivated every day. So daily motivation is also most important. That's not easy to speak English every day, daily. If you want to confident, if you want to speak English fluently, then you have to think in English. That's why thinking is most important. Mistakes. If you are making mistakes, that's very good, that's normal. That's very good indication you are learning English. If you don't mistakes, that means something problem. So mistakes, that means you are trying, you are practicing. So this is most important. Making mistakes is part of learning, you know already. So just try to speak. Definitely you will make mistakes and you can fix them later. So I want to say every English learners, if you are learning English and you want to speak English fluently, then don't think much. Every fluent speaker, they feel same problems in the beginning, so you don't have to think too much. You don't need to become a perfectionist in the beginning. You don't need perfect English grammar. You don't need 100% and very effective vocabulary. You don't need perfect. You just need you practice. You need consistency. You need thinking ability. You need enough courage to speak English. You need simple vocabulary words. You just need enough confidence, nothing much, just enough confidence to speak English. And if this video is helpful for your speaking English and motivated for your English learning process, thank you for listening to my English learning journey. And if this video is helpful for your speaking English journey and process, then comment below how do you learn and how you started to learn English. Don't forget to subscribe this channel for daily English tips, ideas, lessons and motivation like this. So thank you. See you in the next video.